Hi, this is Sarah Rector, welcoming you to the teleseminar about exploring the adoption option. So excited to have a great panel of speakers to share their knowledge and their experience with you. And so I want to thank you to coming to this particular teleseminar. Joan Brooks will be speaking. Joan is my dear friend. Joan and I actually met in our infertility support group. Um, Gosh, Joan, I think is it 20 years ago already?
It is.
Yeah, and so she's a licensed therapist, and she's also adopted Josie, and we've been friends. We have gone through all of the developmental stages of childhood, and what happened is that our families became friends. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Joan. Take it away. And you know what? Turn up your volume a little bit, Joan, if you can. So we can hear you
Okay.
better.
It's
Yeah,
all the way up now.
perfect. That sounds better. All right, my dear. It's all yours.
Well, I'm going to talk about my experience with adoption. We adopted about 17 years ago, and we started a very long process. We started with an adoption attorney, and we were with him for about a year, and that didn't work out for us. We felt like we were being passed over and that we weren't being matched, and we felt like it wasn't a counseling perspective. We felt we needed more interaction and more choice in who our birth mother was going to be. And the attorney basically found you a birth mother and said, "This is your match." So as we went through the process, we became more and more willing to be more open about our adoption. So the attorney, that was about a year of our adoption experience that we decided that we wanted a different method. And at that point, we had a agency, not a licensed adoption agency, but a group of people who helped you find birth mothers. And we went to them and we wrote a birth mother letter explaining who we were and with pictures and pictures of our house and what our goals were as parents. And then we were matched with various birth mothers. We did meet probably 6 birth mothers, and we, for various reasons, made the decision not to proceed with those birth mothers. Mostly it was um, that it just wasn't a good match for us. I really do feel like when you make the right match, and everything works pretty smoothly, and that's what happened for us. So I met with the birth mothers, and I talked to them, and we decided if we were a good match or not. That was a very hard part of the process because we were matched with a birth mother in Mobile, Alabama, and um, we ended up supporting her for 3 or 4 months with what was legally allowed for support. So we helped out with food and living expenses. And when she gave birth, we found out that she had decided to keep her baby. So that was very, very hard on us. And that happened in October of '96. Um, it was probably the most difficult time we went through with the adoption process. And I was in the support group with Sarah and other dear friends, and they were really my support group for, the process of going through a failed adoption. The others didn't feel like failed adoptions, they just felt like they weren't the right matches. But this was a full on failed adoption. And we knew the birth mother, we had gone to Mobile to meet her, we were in contact regularly, and that was very hard. We went back to our group that found birth mothers, And at that point, we decided to work with Vista Del Mar, which is a licensed adoption agency in California. We felt like we needed more protection, more counseling, um, that we wanted the birth mother screened with a professional in the adoption field, with a licensed clinical social worker, so we wouldn't have another failed adoption. And with the agency, what happens is we could be at the birth, and we would take the baby home right away. And during the interim period before the legal stuff had been worked out, the licensed adoption agency was the holder of the adoption. So if there had been a problem with the adoption, they would have had to um, deal with the agency, not with us. And we felt like it was a better process for us, that it was more um, stable, and there was much more support with the agency. So we ended up um, talking on Thanksgiving weekend, actually, with our daughter's birth mother. I talked to her for about 2 or 3 hours on the phone. She was located in California, which was another thing. We decided we wanted a adoption that was in our state, and California is a very popular state for adoptions. And it just seemed better that we would have more contact with the birth mother, and we were more willing and open to that at this point. So I ended up talking to Josie's birth mother for 2 or 3 hours. We really hit it off on the phone, and she was at that point um, probably 5 months pregnant. And she was living in Southern California, so she was in easy access. And we visited her and uh, about once a month until the birth, and she was counseled by Vista Del Mar and a licensed clinical social worker there, and they talked to her about what was going to happen to help her make her adoption plan. They helped us with our adoption plan, and we ended up doing an open adoption. Um, we had some glitches, which were just glitches that happened, things um, just were, our birth mother was having a hard time with the agency she was connected to that provided her housing and all of that. And she ended up going out on her own and finding her own place to live. And that was a little bit of upheaval for us. And we were helping financially at that point with all her expenses that were um, allowed in the state of California. And then on February 14th, um, our birth mother went into labor, and we had an adoption plan set in place that I was allowed to be in the room. Well, it turned out that our daughter was breech, and it was going to be an emergency C-section, so I wasn't allowed to be in the room. But it all worked out, and she was born and healthy, and I was the first person to hold her right outside the surgery room. And we have continued our relationship with Josie's birth mom. We saw her twice in the first couple of years, and then she kind of broke off contact. And we thought that she was secure in the knowledge that Josie was taken care of and was safe, and she decided not to have contact at that point. So we lost contact with her. We recently found her on Facebook and have reestablished contact via Facebook. I'm a friend with her on Facebook. I'm also friends with her two other children on Facebook. And we've decided that when Josie's 18, she will make arrangements for her to meet her birth mother. And it has been wonderful to be able to be back in touch with Josie's birth mom. We were able to ask her some medical questions. My daughter was suffering with migraines, and we were able to ascertain that her birth mother had migraines as well and what treatment she had used that had been successful. So we're really happy with our relationship now, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I'm definitely open to questions. I think that's probably a good overview of our story.
Yes, beautiful. Well done, Joan.
Thank you.